Right, now let's go ahead and use Maven to automate what we've just done in the previous video. So here, what I want you to do is to open up the resources and then static, and let's just delete all of this. So we're going to delete all of that because we're going to automate that. And also what I want you to see is that if you open up the target folder and then go to generated sources, or actually classes, and then static, and you can see that basically it's the exact same thing, right? So it copied that into the target folder. So what we're going to do instead is let's also delete this target folder. And what we want to do is to use Maven to automate all of this. So open up the pom.xml, and in here, what we're going to do is the following. So after the build step, so this build step, what I want to do is I want to create a profile, and you'll see this in a second, but profiles, and then inside, let's create a single profile. And here we're going to define the ID. So ID, and the ID will be build and then front end. And we're going to activate this profile by default. So here, I'm going to say activation default and then true. So let me put this full screen. Now, after the activation, let's also have a build. So we're going to have a build. And inside of this build, we want to have plugins. And inside, we want to have the plugin that we're going to use here. So this plugin right here. So front-end Maven plugin. So this is actually really straightforward to use, but basically we have the group ID, which is this one, and then the artifact front-end Maven plugin, and then the version. And I'm going to show you which version I'm going to use in a second. And then the usage is really straightforward. So here, have a look. So we have plugin, and then we have executions, and then we say, right, so we install node and npm, and then the phase is generate sources, and then we can have configuration, so which node version that we want to use, which npm version that we want to use. And then right here you can see that we can then say, right, so now we can issue these commands, so npm and then install, and basically a bunch of other commands, right? And you can even use yarn, but we're not using yarn, we're just sticking with npm. So what I have for you is under the description of this video, I do have this plugin right here, which I've written, and all you have to do is just paste. So just paste that, and let me walk you through exactly what is all of this about. So paste that in inside of the plugin section. So let me just undo that. So you see, so build front-end plugin, and then inside of the build we have plugins, and let's paste that in. And if you get an error, so basically if you get an error, so if this is red, go to project, open up the POM, or actually right click on the POM, and then Maven, and then reload project, and that should resolve the Maven dependency. So let me put this full screen, and let me walk you through what this is all about. So here we have the group ID, the artifact, the version. So I want to make sure that you use the exact same version as I'm using. And then we have configuration right here. So node version. So this is the node version, and then working directory, src, and then front end. So this working directory is, if I say src / to get auto completion there, you can see that we have the front end. So this is the front end folder, this one here. And then what we want to do is basically we want to have basically inside of the executions, we want to have a couple of executions, right? So these are in order. So first we want to install node and npm, and the goal is install node and npm. So this is the actual goal which is executed. And then we pass the node version and npm version as well. So this installs node and npm, and you'll see this in a second. Then once we have node and npm installed, right here, we want to install the packages. So npm and then install. So this is the IDE. And then the goal is npm. And then we want to have the configuration where we pass the argument. And the argument is install. So npm and then install. Right? So this is the same thing as running, for example. So here, npm and then install. So this is what it's doing, right? So then the last thing is, so after npm install is run build, right? So npm run build. So this is the ID. And then the goal is npm again. And then we want to run the build. Let me just delete this space there, right? And then the goal is npm, and then the argument is run build. So effectively, this is what we're doing, right? So here, so let me just say ls. So I'm inside of the front end folder. So let me just go back. So cd dot dot and then cd dot dot. There we go. So basically what the plugin is doing is, if we do it step by step, is basically cd into src and then front end. And now let me just rm-rf and then node modules for now. The plugin itself is not doing this. I've just deleted just to demonstrate. And then what we're doing is saying npm and then install. So this will install all the dependencies because, so here we don't have, so the node modules is gone. But if I do npm install, whoops. So if I do npm install, we should see node modules appearing in here in a second. And in a second, we should see node modules in here. There we go. So now we should see node modules, and there we go, node modules in here. And then the last thing of this plugin is running npm and then run build. So here, npm run and then build. And then this will basically give us what you saw before, which is inside of the static, or actually inside of the build folder. So the static assets that contains the final application in here. And there we go. So that's finished. And inside here, we have the latest build. And then as you saw, we took this and then we placed inside of the static, inside of the resources folder within Spring Boot. So there we go. So this is what this plugin does for us. And if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. But next, let me go ahead and teach you exactly how to run this plugin. So again, let me just recap. So the plugin, and then we have some configuration here, the node version, working directory, and then we install node. We install all the dependencies with npm install, and then we run the build, npm run and then build. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. Otherwise, let's move on.